Welcome back to another episode of the Health Triad by Nataliya podcast. I'm truly grateful you are tuning in today. This is a space where we talk about real life wellness through food, fitness, and faith. So you can feel more empowered, energized, and aligned in your everyday life. If you've been thinking about your nutrition lately, I have a great guest for you today. We have Kim Murphy, who is the certified plant-based health coach, and she's the founder of Simply Plant-Based Kitchen. Hi, Kim. It's so nice to see you. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm pretty good and excited that you're here. So, Kim, can you tell us a little bit about your journey, about yourself, the background? Well, and actually tell us a little bit about Simply Plant-Based Kitchen, how that came across. What was the reason for that?
Yeah, so it all started with kind of the loss of my dad. He passed away from Alzheimer's. He also had heart disease and prostate cancer. And, it was just such I don't know, it was just such a big moment in my life losing him. And not just that, but just watching him struggle with his health, and especially the last 10 years of him just really deteriorating and just fading away from the Alzheimer's. And that kind of really led me down a path of, hey, I don't want this. This really sucks. And I've just always been a person of like, I just don't accept the status quo, I guess. And just going through that experience, and I didn't want to put my kids through that. I didn't want, to lose my own memories, but even just having them, I don't want to put that, burden on them. And so it just led me, I was just like, okay, I got to figure this out. There's got to be something. And so just really dug into the science and just trying to research, like, what's the best way to eat and live? What's the right lifestyle that can really, improve my health and possibly prevent this from happening to me? And everything I kept reading was pointing to a whole food plant-based diet. So that's really kind of what started my journey. So I decided, you know what, we're going to do this. We went whole food plant-based in our family. And within just a couple weeks, my
Wow. Wow.
energy and brain fog, like the brain fog disappeared, which I was really concerned about, obviously. But my energy just was through the roof. I felt so good. My joints stopped hurting. And I was like, I didn't even realize that they'd been hurting until they stopped hurting. And I was like, oh,
A new feeling.
yeah. And I lost weight. The best part was like I was never hungry. I was eating a lot. I was eating bigger portions. So it just really changed my life. How that transitioned to a Simply Plant-Based Kitchen was everything that I read. I was kind of shocked that I didn't know it before, that we could prevent not just Alzheimer's,
Yeah.
type 2 diabetes and cancer and autoimmune disorders. We can really do so much. We have so much power at the end of our fork, and people don't know that. And they're
Yeah.
just really wanted to share that. So that's kind of where it all started. Started Simply Plant-Based Kitchen and got my plant-based health coaching certification, just to make sure I was doing all the right, sharing the best information. Yeah.
Yeah, I love the name. I love it. It's really like it's not easy, but it's simple. So
Exactly.
it is.
Yes, it's
Yeah,
not easy, but it can be simple. Yeah.
exactly. Like you just like you know what to do, right? So it's sad. It's really sad that it's not so widespread because the science is right there. The science, like you read the information, there is scientific proof behind all of that. But why it's not on TV? Why it's not on commercials? Why it's not people, we can eat more plants and it's going to help us.
Yeah. Well, follow the
Like,
money. It's like you can't make billions of dollars off of telling people to eat broccoli, but you can make billions off of selling
uh,
food and pills. And so that's what gets on TV.
uh,
Just really
yeah,
sad. But that's why we're spreading the word.
right. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Oh, well. But it's also cool to hear that you just transitioned basically in 2 weeks. That's wow, the whole family. And so did you face any challenges at all when you've been transitioning or when you changed to the whole food plant-based, any challenges personally or family or even people around you?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And I will say I didn't fully transition in 2 weeks, like, I started noticing how much better I felt within just a couple weeks, but I had actually funny enough, I'd actually kinda tried a plant-based diet years before trying to lose weight after the birth of my 2nd son, but I couldn't keep it going. It was just I was just treating it like another diet, and I was being very restrictive with it. So I was actually very nervous to do this again because I thought, "Ugh, I don't wanna fail again when this is so."
Right.
So, I really was, like, more focused on my health rather than weight
Mhm.
loss the 2nd time around, and I think that really helped kinda not really pay attention to the scale as much as possible, but I was really focused on how I felt and everything, and so but the weight was just coming off, and so that was just kind of an extra motivation. But, oh, yeah, challenges, yeah, it's like going out to eat, being tempted by all what your family and friends are getting. It's hard in the beginning, it's gotten easier over time, because now what I've experienced is that whenever especially in the beginning, after eating so well for so long, if I would kind of veer off path and have something that wasn't whole food plant based, I felt it. I felt the
Mhm.
poor digestion, upset stomach,
Mhm.
bloat.
Headache.
So you have this physical reaction when you put the bad stuff back in, and it's like, oh, I'm reminded why I want to keep eating this way. And so it just takes time to develop those new habits
Mhm.
and really kind of experiment and figure out how to do it in a way that works for your life and your lifestyle. And that can look really different for different people. And I've had plenty of people be like, you can't get enough protein. I mean, my own family members probably still don't think I get enough protein. But they don't bug me anymore about it. It's been a few years now, so it's like I'm not going back, and clearly I'm not withering away.
Yeah, but you mentioned restriction, and I think that might be one of the sort of the limitations or the biggest challenge, I would say, for anybody of us who just decide like, okay, I'm going to start something new, and all of these limitations and restrictions that what can get us into the tunnel. There is just no way out.
Mm.
I think the restriction itself makes it just, I don't know, just like the path to fail. And for some people, it might be well if they restrict themselves and that's how they operate. But a lot of people need a little bit of flexibility, especially when you start something new and get in that mindset of why are you doing what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think that, like, especially in our culture and in the diet culture, it's all about what you
Mhm.
can't have and restricting and tiny portions, deprivation. And it's just not a recipe for success. Like, that's not a recipe for long-term sustainability, a way of living.
Yep,
If you
yep,
can't
yep.
imagine yourself eating a certain way for the rest of your life, it's a diet and it's not going to last. And so anything you do,
Exactly. Yeah.
it's like it's got to be in a way that you can keep it going and you can imagine yourself, yeah, I could do this. And
Mm,
so really focusing, I like to coach people to focus on what you can have versus what you
mm.
can't. And eat those
Right.
things first. It's like fill up on all the most nutrient dense, healthiest foods first. And as you do that, you're going to be less hungry. You're going to eat less of
Right.
the unhealthy things and you crowd out those bad calories for good ones. And so it just becomes a little bit more it becomes easier because you're eating the healthy things first and they're filling you up so you're not hungry. You have less cravings. And that was one thing I noticed is that I didn't have cravings because I was filling my body with all these nutrients that it was
Hmm.
craving. So when I did that, I didn't want the junk food. I didn't want the cheese or the meat or the salt and the chips and things like that because it just didn't call my name. I didn't have those cravings. And so you eat those things less because you're just not even thinking about them.
Yeah. Well, and I guess what I would also add to it, if somebody does try to transition to whole food plant-based or even increase in plans, not straight to plant-based 100%, I think one of the important parts is to not to feel guilty and not to punish yourself
Yeah.
if you slip, because oh my
Yes.
goodness, it's life. It happens. It's
Yeah.
just to think about where you started. If you add a traditional diet, which is full of processed food, and you transition in even slowly, it's already so much better than going back. So it doesn't work just to, oh, I fail. Okay, it's not going to work. So I guess I'm just going to eat the way I did.
No, 100%. And that was another reason that I wanted to go I kinda changed my mindset around it this time around because I knew I needed
Mhm.
it for my health, and so I didn't, as much as possible, beat myself up. It's changing the way your relationship with food and how you love yourself more. It's like, why do
Oh,
we
I love it. Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's like, why do we think that beating ourselves up is gonna help us be successful? It's just not. It doesn't work. And so we have
Yeah.
to give ourselves grace and give ourselves love. And, and I'm still not perfect. Like I don't want anybody to think that I am 100% perfect. I am
Mm.
way farther down the path than I was over 6 years ago. But in the beginning, it was like it was a little bit of a it's a learning curve. There's so many things to learn, and junk food came around me, or you go to a party and you see your favorites, and it's like a trigger, and it's a habit
Yeah.
for those things.
Yeah.
It's not your fault. It's just developing those new habits over time, and so sometimes I would go into temptation. I'd fall into
Yeah.
temptation, and it was like, "You know what? That's okay. I'm back on it tomorrow. I'm back at it. There's no reason to punish myself and beat myself."
Mhm.
And I found that over time, that really helped me kind of develop a new mindset. So I tell people progress, not perfection all the time. Progress, not
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you also have to kind of consider you being 20, 25, 30, or whatever many years for whatever is listening under certain, I would say, food conditions, and suddenly you decided to change the habits. I mean, oof, you would be super blessed if that just happens overnight and you don't crave anything anymore that you're not supposed to. But that's not the reality.
Yeah.
So challenges will come your way, and that's how it is. That's life.
That's life, yeah, and you have to kinda roll with the punches and just learn how to handle any setbacks, and it's okay, just keep
Hmm.
going, and like you said, it's like, it's still way better than whatever you were eating before, just eating more full plants, it's just it's just amazing how much just that choice right there, just adding a few extra servings a day even, can make a
Yeah.
huge difference in somebody's life.
Yeah.
So, yeah, don't beat yourself up if you're trying to do this and you can't be perfect because nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
And
Well, and I can even hear somebody saying that I'm not ready. I'm just not ready to change to plant-based. And that's all right. Don't do it. Don't change it. But maybe we can start from increasing plants actually and
absolutely.
decreasing processed food. So that's a good beginning. And definitely you will feel the difference. And then the curiosity takes itself. Well, what if I increase more plants? What if I try one day maybe no meat? Or something like that. So definitely.
Yeah, and that's where it starts. It starts from those little,
Mhm.
tiny
Little
steps,
steps.
and just building on them, increasing your confidence and increasing you just again, there's so many things to learn. So, no, you can't learn it overnight. Like you said, doing this for 20, 30, it was 40 years I'd been eating the standard American diet. So it's like, how are you going to learn something completely different overnight when you've been doing something else for 40 years? It's like, no.
Yeah. Well, and many of our listeners are busy women and they are trying to make healthy choices. So let's tell them a few of your quick to go plant-based meals that you can just save them on their hectic day.
I'm like, where to begin? There's so many. I mean, at this point, I have like so many. I mean, it can be as simple as switching from refined grains to whole grains. Like that is such
Mm.
a simple thing that really you're not going to notice taste wise. But it's you're doubling or more the amount of fiber and all the nutrients from the whole grains versus the refined grains. So instead of white rice, brown rice. Instead of white pasta, whole grain pasta. But I like to do for those hectic nights, I will keep on hand whole grain pasta. You can also do lentil or bean chickpea pastas, which are great, even
Love
higher in
those, yeah.
protein. Yeah. And then some jars of marinara sauce, and then steamed broccoli, frozen broccoli, just pop it in the microwave, steam it. Literally dinner in minutes. And
Yeah.
I mean, and that's all it doesn't have to be anything crazy. It can be as simple as that.
And yeah, and beans. For whatever reason, I'm just like can of beans. It's so easy. You just open it.
Yeah, yeah. I love canned beans. I love frozen fruits and vegetables. They're so convenient. They don't go bad. So you're saving
Mhm.
money, you're saving time, stuff is already chopped, and you can just steam a bag of vegetables in minutes and toss that on some pasta with some sauce or some rice. And it's like you've got a meal and you can eat as much as you want. So you can really fill up. And I think that's my favorite part is just I don't have to restrict myself. I'm definitely a volume eater. I like
Yeah.
feeling full. It's just I just know this about myself, so this way of eating really helps me satisfy that urge without gaining weight.
Cool, cool. And what are your favorites when you're talking about the pantry staples that you think that everybody who's transitioning to plant-based should have in their kitchen?
Definitely beans, like you mentioned, beans and lentils because there's so many different options. They're ready to go, heat and eat. You can just add them to a meal. They're high protein, high fiber, and and you can really there's so much variety. You don't have to get bored. So definitely canned beans. You do want to look for low sodium, BPA free
Yeah.
cans. I do buy organic canned beans pretty much as a rule. Let's see, pantry staples. I would say, like I was mentioning, the pasta, whole grain pasta, because and brown rice, you can cook those up real quick. Let's see, canned
Quinoa.
quinoa. Yes, thank you.
Love that.
Yes,
Love that
love
one.
quinoa. Canned tomatoes. I was trying to think. I don't have a lot of canned vegetables besides canned tomatoes and beans because I typically do frozen vegetables to
Um,
lock in nutrients and they're fresher. With canned, when you're thinking about like canned green beans, they're like brown almost. Well, that means that they lost a lot of the nutrients because they're like, where's the green color? The green is like the nutrients. And so if it's not green, you're missing out.
Yeah. Well, and spices, definitely. I would
Oh,
add so much spices.
yeah, 100%. Yeah. My, like, 2 double spice cabinets of just everything you can imagine. You can just add so much flavor with just I mean, everything. Just basil, oregano, and chili powder, and garlic powder. I love garlic powder. I put it on
Yeah.
everything. Nutritional yeast is great to make things
Yeah.
so yes, absolutely.
Balsamic vinegar. Oh,
Oh,
yeah. There's
gosh.
so many options.
Yes.
Yeah, but definitely when it becomes the afternoon that you just too tired to really cook. I think if you have a brown rice and beans and some steamed vegetables, that's perfect.
Yes, so good, and like you mentioned, the balsamic vinegar,
Yeah.
love that. Balsamic vinegar, low sodium soy sauce, just some squeezing
Yeah.
lemon.
Aminos.
Oh, yeah,
Yes. Yeah. Lemon too. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy. There is a lot of options. Well, now I'm getting hungry. And when we talk about the food, usually we associate that with the results like that you can see on your body. So if you eat healthy, you're going to get fit or you lose weight. But what do you think, or from your experience, if you can tell anything, if the food can have any way to care not only for your body, but also for your soul, relationship, basically overall well being?
I think that the cool thing we're learning more and more about the gut microbiome and how important it is to feed our good gut bacteria. And what do they eat? They eat fiber. And so
Yeah.
eating more whole plants is going to feed your gut bacteria. But what a lot of people don't realize is that your gut bacteria actually create most of like your serotonin, your body's
Hmm.
feel-good chemical, 90% of it. So if you're not feeding your bacteria, they're not producing enough serotonin. So a lot of people they may just feel like blah, like just not great, even higher risk of depression. And I've noticed in myself as well, like as I ate more whole plants, even very quickly, I started to feel happier and more joy. And it's just really, it's amazing that relationship between what you put in your body, what you fuel yourself with, and how you feel physically and emotionally and spiritually. You just feel
Yeah.
it's a way of appreciating your body, loving your body. And when you do that, when you give it things that are good for it, it gives back to you. And I think it's
Hmm.
just amazing how we can even prove that with science, with like how that actually happens with neurotransmitters in the body. But yeah, it's like it's been also kind of a spiritual journey of just like instead of restricting and dieting and what can't I have, but what can I have, and feeding myself with just nourishing my soul and nourishing my body. And it's just really amazing how that can just really change your whole life and whole perspective and just how you show up for yourself, not just yourself, but for your family and for your friends
Mhm.
and community.
Yeah, I like that. And you mentioned bacteria. Now that I'm thinking, our body can have two type of bacteria. Well, if we talk overall, it's a good bacteria and bad bacteria. So you can feed either or.
Yeah.
So obviously, if you will feed bad bacteria, there is nothing good is gonna come from them to your body. So yeah, there is so much misunderstanding about plant-based. It just sometimes it's just ridiculous. Then I hear comments, well, you can be nutrient deficient if you eat plant-based. You need to take tons of supplements. So, well, there are so many things that I've heard when I was eating as much plant-based as I could. So, is there any common misunderstanding, myth, or anything you want to clear out for our listeners right now?
I think the biggest one is the protein, because that's the most common question. People will say, like, well, how can you get
Mhm.
enough protein? Or not all plants have all the different essential amino acids. Well, actually, they do. Every plant has every essential amino acid in varying amounts. So if you're eating a wide variety of whole plant foods, you're going to get everything you need. You don't have to food combine because, I mean, it's great if you wanna eat beans and rice together, it's wonderful. You don't have to
Mhm.
at the same meal because your digestive system will actually recycle amino acids when you need them, and so it's like, as long as you're eating a wide variety of food each day, you're gonna get all the nutrients that you need. But when it comes to nutrient deficiencies and people thinking that you have to supplement a whole bunch, actually, I read a study that on the keto diet, some people are actually deficient in like over 20 different nutrients because they're not eating enough plants. So
Right.
actually, you're getting pretty much everything you need by eating more plants. Not It's not the opposite. I'd say the one exception is vitamin B12, but that's because it
Huh.
comes from bacteria in the dirt. And
Yeah, yeah.
it doesn't come from plants, it doesn't really come from animals. They're just kind of the middleman because they're eating it, it gets stored in their tissues, and omnivores eat it. However, most people, even if you are eating meat, a lot of people are deficient in B12 anyways. So really, most everybody needs to be taking a B12 supplement because our we chlorinate our water, so we kill off all of the bacteria, which is a good thing. We don't want drinking bacteria in
Yeah.
water or anything like that. And we wash our fruits and vegetables so well that we're cleaning off all of the natural sources of vitamin B12 that we might have gotten hundreds of thousands
Mhm.
of years ago. So, because we have such a clean environment, we do need to take B12 because, again, it comes from bacteria.
Mhm. I actually love this B12 example. I've got those comments as well. Like, well, you don't get enough B12, I have enough B12 because I eat meat. And I was like, so where do they think your meat is taking B12 from?
Ding, ding, ding. Exactly. Yeah.
So,
From plants. They're eating the plants and they're eating the dirt, and that's where they're getting it.
yes, plus they are being supplemented as well. So,
They are.
honey,
Yes.
yeah, so it's like, okay, so you basically eat supplements to being given to the cows that later you're gonna eat. So,
Yeah, because
yeah.
all the factory farmed meat these days, they're not actually eating grass. They're eating grains and they're not in a great environment. So, like you said, they're actually being supplemented their B12 too. And so you're getting a B12 supplement either way.
Yeah. Yeah, and protein is a good argument, I think, as well. I think about the protein, I mean, I probably would argue at some point because there's a lot of people say that we don't really need as much protein as we think we do. Though here I would argue because if you do lift heavy, you definitely need more protein than normal people who just do light active activity or anything like that. But at the same time, you still can increase protein intake with tofu, seitan, or anything plant-based as well. You would just need to consider now, did you get in more fiber, more carbs, and just do macro calculation for those who do in macro as well. So just consideration, but yes, there is sources for plant-based protein as well.
Yeah, yeah. It's like whatever your lifestyle is, you can get enough
Mhm.
protein for whatever, you're doing. If you're lifting weights or older people really need a little bit more protein as well because
Yeah.
they tend to not absorb it as well, so they need to eat a little bit more. But it doesn't mean that it's hard. It doesn't mean you can't. You just need to
Mhm.
aware and just make sure you're eating those higher protein, enough of those higher protein plant food like the beans and the soy and the lentils. The even whole grains are an excellent source of
Yeah.
protein. And actually, that's where half of the world's population gets that's the biggest protein source. Is actually people don't
Yeah.
realize how much protein whole grains actually have. And so
Y-
and
Right.
everything really adds up. Nuts and seeds are a great source of protein too. So you
Mhm.
eat all these different whole plant foods and get enough of the, especially the higher ones, you'll be able to meet whatever your goals are.
Yeah. I think that, I mean, and also from my personal experience as well, it's not hard, but it might be a little bit challenging if people used to certain type of eating for years and they sort of need to re-educate themselves or get to figure it out. So that might seem hard, but to get protein itself is not hard. We just need to find a way how to do it. It's not easy like we started, but it's simple.
Exactly, and that's what there's so much to learn when it's like that
Mm.
simple question of like, "Okay, how do I get my protein?" Well, you need to learn what are the high protein plant foods, and that way you can meet whatever your needs are.
Yeah. And maybe just to, if somebody wants to go forward, maybe switching straight to the plant-based tomorrow might be, like we discussed, not the best way. Maybe to decrease and learn what else can you do to get your protein if your goal is to keep the high protein amount, because there are a lot of people who really don't need as much.
Right.
So it's not that complicated.
Yeah.
And give some good advice, so wisdom points for those who want to transition to healthier way of eating, healthier styles. And they say, I would love to eat better, but I just don't know where to start. What would you
Mhm.
say to them?
Well, I would say number 1, like we've been talking about, don't try to transition overnight because that is overwhelming, and that will stop people from even taking one step, is just thinking, "Well, it's too much to do, and so I just won't do anything." No, just a tiny step. Can you learn to make one plant-based recipe?
Hmm.
Or can you
Hmm.
figure out what you wanna have for breakfast? It's like, it just
Yeah.
starts with one meal. It starts with one recipe. And then you build on that. And so taking a slow and steady approach to transition and then just learning as you go and just one step at a time. It doesn't have to happen
Yeah.
all overnight like we've been talking about. So don't put that expectation on yourself because it's not realistic. It's not healthy way of going about it. It's not going to help you be successful long term because there is just so many things to learn. And so just find one recipe or just just add more fruits and vegetables. Like instead of snacking on chips or cookies or candy, snack on fruit.
Mm.
Nature is candy. And so it's just,
Yeah.
you have a bowl of cereal in the morning, add some fruit to it. Just doing things that you can add rather than completely start from scratch. It's like that can make a difference too. Is just what are those little things? What's the lowest bar that would feel easy for you to do consistently? And as you do that, you're going to build those habits.
So, what is your favorite breakfast? If you have any staples for breakfast, are you flexible in the morning?
I'm pretty flexible in the morning. I have 2 favorites. And I will be honest, sometimes I'm just not hungry in the mornings, and so I don't always eat breakfast. If I'm not hungry, I really listen to my body and my hunger. So if I'm not hungry, I won't eat breakfast and I'll just start with a nice big lunch. But my when I do eat breakfast, I really like avocado toast on Ezekiel sprouted grain bread with some arugula, nice
Mm.
greens on top. My second go-to favorite is overnight oats with and different variations. It can be like blueberry overnight oats or apple cinnamon overnight oats, bananas. It's so flexible with flavor and variety and different combinations of things that you can do with overnight oats. And those are great to prep in mason jars for the whole week. So it's like a grab and go breakfast. So if I'm busy, I like to prep breakfast ahead of time so that I can definitely eat it. But those are probably my two favorites right now.
Well, and I know that you have tons of yummy recipes. Can you share with our listeners where they can find your recipes and actually where they can find more information about what you do and about Simply Plant-Based Kitchen?
Yeah, actually, just both those things. Simplyplantbasedkitchen.com is my website, and I've got tons of recipes, tons of resources. I'm always doing different classes and workshops and challenges that people can join in for free. And also on Facebook, Simply Plant-Based Kitchen, and on Instagram, Simply Plant-Based Kitchen.
Great. And that's actually how I got to know you. It's been 5 years ago.
Yeah, you were in like the first group of people that I was.
Yes.
So yeah, and I was thinking about that today. I was like, oh my gosh, it's been like at least 5.
Yes, it was during COVID. I remember that hard time of COVID, and you were just on the right spot, right time. That was fantastic. So I gotta tell you, thank you a lot for being there for me and my transitions and stuff. My dietary changed quite a bit because they went plant-based whole foods. Then I realized more that holistic approach works better for me. So I am increasing as much as I can plant-based, but I don't punish and don't beat up myself if it's not plant-based. So that seems to be working the best for me in my lifestyle. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what you got to do. You have to figure out what works for you and how it makes you feel.
Well, Kim, thank you so much for your time spending with us here. That was fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
And I just wanted to remind you that this podcast is for information purposes only. It is not medical or professional advice. So please talk to your doctor before making any changes to your health, nutrition, or fitness routine.